You want to go?
Base hay.
Okay, good. Okay. If one vowed, referring to cherem, and said, "I vowed" with reference to a fisherman's net, or he vowed referring to korban, and he said, "I vowed" with reference to gifts for kings, or if he declared, "Myself is to you like a korban," and he said, "I vowed" with reference to a bone that I have set aside for myself to use for the Nedarim, or konim, for which that my wife benefits from me, and he said, "My declaration was directed at my first wife, whom I divorced." For all of these, they need not request cancellation, and if they requested cancellation, we penalize them and we are strict with them. These are the words of Rav Meir. The Chachamim, however, say we find grounds to annul the nether from elsewhere, and we teach them so that they not conduct themselves with levity when dealing with the Nedarim. The Chachamim permitted 4 Nedarim: bargaining Nedarim, hyperbolic Nedarim, unwitting Nedarim, and Nedarim on conditions unavoidably unfulfilled. What are bargaining Nedarim? One was selling an item and said, "Konam, if I sell to you for less than a seller," and the other says, "Konam, if I pay you for more than a shekel." Both persons are willing at 3 dinners. But Eliezer ben Yaakov says, so too one who wants to direct a nether at another so that the other person should eat with him. He says, any nether that I will make in the future is void. This is effective provided that he remembers at the time of the nether. What are hyperbolic nedarim? A person said, Kohanim, unless I have seen on this road like those departing from Egypt, or unless I have seen a snake like a beam of the olive press. What are unwitting nedarim? A person said, if I ate or if I drank, and he remembers that he ate or drank, if I eat or if I drink, and he forgot and he ate or drank, or a person said, Kohanam, my wife benefiting from me because she stole my purse or she beat my son, and it was discovered that she had not beaten him, and it was discovered that she had not robbed him. A person saw people eating figs, and he said, they are korban to you. And he turned out to his father and his brothers, and they were others with them. And Shammai said, they are permitted, but those with them are forbidden. And Beis Hillel says, for both are permitted.
Okay. So now we carry on with the other nedarim that are permitted. Is nidre onsin. This is vows under duress. Okay. Hidiro chavero sheyochal etzlo. So his friend made him take a vow that he should. An honest is an accident. Is not. This is not the case of under duress. I had something else in mind, but here we have the situation is explained in the Gemara, where you've got Reuven's got conflicting invitations to go to lunch for Shabbos or whatever. Okay. And so Shimon's invited him and Levi's invited him, and Reuven would prefer to go to Shimon, but he doesn't know how to say no to Levi. So he says to Shimon, listen, make a neder. Take a neder that if I don't come and join you, then I'm going to be asked to just so you can act like you're really really makpid that you're going to have me come over. So Shimon says, if that's what you want, with pleasure. So he says, yes. You should be a konam if you don't join me for lunch this Shabbos. So then Reuven goes over to Levi and says, listen, I would love to join you, but Shimon's made a neder, and like I really, he really is insistent, and so Levi, what can Levi do? Okay, so now comes Shabbos, and Reuven gets sick, or something else happens. You'll see in the case of the Mishna. So he's taken the v'chalahu or shechala b'no, or Reuven's son gets sick and he can't come because he has to look after his son, or sheikvo nahar, or there was a flood and now he can't cross the river. Elu nidre onsin. So in these cases where some sort of external cause prevented Reuven from coming, so Shimon's vow is not chal. Okay. Now the reason why this is the case is because why does the Gemara have to go to this extent to explain it? It's because Reuven was like a kind of a willing party to this, and it wasn't literally that Shimon wanted to make a neder on him or whatever. Because it's a kind of Reuven's instigation. And now Reuven was prevented by forces out of his control from actually coming. But if it had been the case where unbidden. Shimon had literally made a
Right.
neder. I insist that you come, and you didn't come. Then Tzaka would have been chal.
All right.
All right. Nodrim leharagin v'lacharamin v'lamochsin shehi truma. This afal pisha ena truma. This is one of these amazing things where you just take a look at the mindset of people, and you think, okay, so nothing's really changed. This is a case where a guy is being robbed, right? There's some Jews here who are holding him up at gunpoint and say, "What's in your sack?" And he said, and it's really chulin, but he says, it should be a konam to me if it's not truma. So the robbers here, oh, truma. No, we're not taking truma. You know, it kind of reminds me of that. You know, there was a Jewish hitman in Chicago who never used to work on Shabbos. He wouldn't kill people on Shabbos.
You said, you're not serious, are you? He's making a joke.
It's serious. I'm not even joking. It was a known thing. There was a Jewish assassin. He was in Chicago gangland or whatever, and
Right.
you had Meyer Lansky and Bugsy Siegel.
Right.
A lot. There was another one of them who was a known sharpshooter who would bump people off for a fee. But they knew that they couldn't get him to do anything on a Saturday. Because that was what his father taught him. His father taught him, you're not allowed to work on Saturday.
Okay.
So you think that's bizarre? Here it is in the Mishnah. Robbers, murderers, who are who have no compunction about like stealing people blind, killing them for their stuff if necessary. But truma, we wouldn't take truma. Okay, so they're from robbers.
Robbers, yeah.
Okay. So that's one of the things that the Mishnah is now telling us, is that it's permitted for somebody to take a neder to mislead the robbers so that they don't steal his stuff.
Right.
Or they can take it, whether it's truma or shel beis hamelech, or that it belongs to the king. Afal pi she'enan shel beis hamelech. Now, there's a little rider inside there. How is he able to get away with taking a vow that he's not going to keep? So I saw in the article commentary actually yesterday that what does he do? He has in mind a condition. He says there should be there should be konam for a day. Right? He doesn't vocalize for a day. And
right.
Normally a vow you have to vocalize everything that's right. Don't say it, then it doesn't count. But here we're saying that if he had in mind that this neder should only be for chal for a day, then it's okay because he's under duress over here. And if he had to say it should be konam for a day, then it would completely obviate the point of doing it.
Right.
Okay. So Beis Shammai omrim bakol nodrim chutz mibeshvua. Say Beis Shammai, you can say these nedarim, but you can't say it with a shavua, because a shavua is something that is a shavua is something it's not like with a neder you're saying, okay, this should be asked to me for a day, but a shavua is like swearing on the truth.
Right.
So Beis Shammai say you can't swear on it because now you're lying. It's not truma. It's not and it's not shel beis hamelech. Beis Hillel omrim af b'shvua. Now they say you can even do it in a shvua. Why? Says Beis Hillel, because you can also have this little trick in your head that when you say it's truma, what does truma mean? It means it's something that was lifted. So everything's literally, I once picked this up. So yeah, it's truma because I once picked it up. Yeah, I lifted it. Or if it's shel beis hamelech, well, I'm melech in my bias. I'm the king of my own home. So it's shel beis hamelech. It's mine. So this is when he takes a shavua that this is shel beis hamelech, he has in mind it's just that it's his property and he's the king in his own home. Beis Shammai omrim lo yiftach lo b'neder, or Beis Hillel omrim af yiftach lo. So Beis Shammai say you can't voluntarily do this. You can only do it if they impose a neder on you to say, oh, you say it's truma, take a neder. Or take a shavua. well, Beis Shammai don't even say you can take a shua. They say you have to take a neder from it. Okay, and Beis Hillel say forget it. You can even volunteer it because it comes across more sincere if you want to do it that way instead of just reacting to them. Okay. Beis Shammai omrim b'meh shehu madiro, uBeis Hillel omrim af b'meh she'eno madiro. They say so. Beis Shammai say you can only swear to as much as they ask you to swear, and Beis Hillel say nah, you can swear on whatever you want. What's the case in this case? Amru lo emor. So the robbers said to him, Konam ishti ne'nesli. If that my wife should be usher from benefiting from me if this is not truma. Okay, so Amar Konam ishti ubanai ne'ninli. So he voluntarily adds in his sons as well. So his wife is permitted because that was what was under duress, but his sons he didn't have to add, and therefore they are now usher to him. Okay. But they're consistent to the shita that you can voluntarily say whatever you want and add in whatever clauses you want into the neder just to get these guys off your back. Okay. Mishna hey, Hare Natios Ha'elu Korban. Now he has a situation where a guy sees like a tornado coming towards his field, or he sees, in the second case, he sees a fire burning around his property. So he says, "Hare natios ha'elu korban." He says, "Oh, my trees should be a korban. In other words, they're dedicated to the mikdash, or they're asur. They're basically he says these things are korban. Okay, im einan niktatos, if they're not burned down. So now, what is the situation? He's saying it's like I've basically despaired of keeping these trees because of the tornado that's coming or because of the fire that's coming. He says if they survive, they should be dedicated to the mikdash. Okay, so this is his thing. He's making a condition that if they survive, then they're dedicated. Or talis is of korbanim einan isrefas, or my cloak should be dedicated to the temple if it's not burned. Okay. So now the Mishnah uses an interesting expression, yesh lahem pidyon. It could have just said, hare elu, they're korban, they're mukdashin. Okay, but because of the second half of the Mishnah, it also uses the expression yesh lahem pidyon. So first of all, it validates his statement that if they did survive the fire, then they do become dedicated to the temple. And furthermore, because they're not things that go on the mizbeach, you can also do a pidyon on them. Right, you can give their value plus a fifth, and money goes to the temple, and he keeps the object. Okay, yesh lahem pidyon. Harei natios ha'elu korban ad sheyekatzitzu. Now this is a different situation. He says when he makes his lashon is somewhat different. He says these saplings should be sanctified until they are cut down, or this cloak should be sanctified until it is burned. Ein lahem pidyon. Now, not only are they sanctified, but because he's put a condition on them that they are sanctified until they are cut down, or they're sanctified until they're burned, then even if he does do a pidyon, it doesn't help, because they immediately revert to the kadosh status because he's made the statement that says they are sanctified until they're burned. They're sanctified until they're cut down. So if he actually does cut them down, okay, so now comes a discussion as to whether they lose their sanctity or they just have to be redeemed once now because now they've been cut down. But nonetheless, that's this Mishnah is just bringing out the difference between the condition of the first half of the Mishnah is talking about if they're not burned, then they should be sanctified, and this one says they should be sanctified until they're burned.
Until they're burned, right?
Right. Okay, that's Mishnah for the day. Okay, Kesubos, Yud Beis.
Yud Beis Gimel.
Yeah.
If a widow says, I do not wish to move from my husband's house, the heirs cannot say to her, go to your father's house and we will support you. Rather, they must support her in her husband's house and they give her a residence according to her honor. But if she says, I do not wish to move from my father's house, the heirs may say to her, if you are with us, you will have sustenance. But if you are not with us, you will have no sustenance. If she claims that it is because she is young and they are young, they must support her while she is in her father's house. As long as she is in her father's house, she can collect kasuba forever. As long as she is in her husband's house, she can collect kasuba until the end of 25 years. For in 25 years, she has the opportunity to do favors corresponding to the amount of her ketubah. These are the words of Reb Meir, which he stated in the name of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. And the comments, however, say, as long as she is in her husband's house, she may collect her ketubah forever. As long as she is in her father's house, she may collect her ketubah until the end of 25 years. If she dies, her heirs may claim her ketubah until the end of 25 years. Two judges of decrees were in Yerushalayim, Adman and Kanan ben Avishalom. Kanan said two things. Adman said 7. If someone went overseas and his wife demands sustenance, Kanan said she must swear at the end, but she not swear at the beginning. The sons of the Kohanim Gedolim differed with him and said she must swear both at the beginning and at the end. Reb Dosa ben Harkinis concurred with their view, said Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Kanan said, well, and she did not swear except at the end. Okay.
Subas Aleph Tes.
Okay. Here we go. Aleph Tes. If a woman was pregnant and they said to her, what is the nature of this fetus? And she replied, he was fathered by so-and-so and he is a Kohen. Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer say she is believed. Rabbi Yeshua says she is not believed. Rather, it is presumed that she is pregnant from a Nissanite or a Mamzer until she proves her claim. Said Reb Yossi, there was an incident concerning a young girl who went down to draw water from a spring and was violated. Said Yochanan ben Nuri, if most men of the city may marry off their daughters to Kohanim, this one may marry a Kohen. A woman who was widowed or divorced and said, you married me as a virgin, and he says, not so, I married you as a widow. And if there are witnesses that she went out with a veil and with her hair untied, her ketubah is 200 zuz. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka says the distribution of parched grain is also proof. Rosh Hashanah. Beis Zion.
Yes.
The head of the Beis Din says, it is sanctified. And all the people respond after him, it is sanctified, it is sanctified. Whether it appeared at its expected time or whether it did not appear at its expected time, they sanctify the day. But Elazar ben Sadik says, if he did not appear at its expected time, they do not sanctify, for it has already been sanctified by heaven. Rabbi Gamliel has moon-shaped forms on a tablet and on the wall of his upper chamber, which he would show the simple folk and say to them, did you see the moon like this or like that? It happened that two witnesses came and said, we saw it in the morning in the east and in the evening in the west. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri said, they are false witnesses. But when they came to Yavna, Rabbi Gamliel accepted them. On another occasion, two witnesses came and said, we saw it as an expected time, but on the night of the added day, it did not appear, and Rabbi Gamliel accepted them. Reb Dosa ben Harkinis said, they are false witnesses. How can they testify that a woman gave birth and the next day her belly is between her teeth? Reb Shua said to him, I agree with your argument. Rabbi Gamliel said a message to him. I decree upon you that you come with me to with your staff and your money on the day that Yom Kippur will fall according to your reckoning. Rabbi Akiva went and found him troubled. So he said to him, I can elucidate that whatever Rabbi Gamliel said is validly done, for it says, these are the holidays of Hashem, holy convocations, that you shall declare them, whether declared in their expected time or not in their expected time. I have no holidays but these. He came to Reb Dosa ben Harkinis, who said to him, if we come to reconsider the decisions of Rabbi Gamliel's Rabbi Gamliel's Beis Din, then we must reconsider the decisions of every Beit Din that arose in the days of Moses until now. As it is said, there went up Moses and Aaron, Nadav, and Avihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. Why are the names of the elders not expressly mentioned? Only to teach us. This is wrong here. Only to teach us that every three people who arose as a Beis Din for Israel are considered like the Beis Din of Moses. Then he took his staff and his money in his hand and went to Yavna's Rabbi Gamliel on the day that Yom Kippur fell according to the reckoning. Rabbi Meal stood up and kissed him on the head and said to him, "Come in peace, my master and my disciple, my master in wisdom, and my master in that you've accepted my words."
Master Shani.
Shani, we have Aleph Vav.
Yeah.
If one bought cattle in error, the money must be returned. If wittingly, he must go up and eat and be eaten in the place. But that when there is no temple, it must be buried together with his hide. One may not bury bondmen, bondswomen, land, or unclean animals.
Not bury. You said bury.
I said bury. That's not good. One may not buy bondwomen, land, or unclean animals with Ma'aser Sheni money. And if he brought, he must eat for its equivalent. One may not offer burnt offerings of men or women who had a flux, or burnt offerings of women after childbirth, or sin offerings or guilt offerings bought with Ma'aser Sheni money. And if one offered them, he must eat their equivalent. This is the general rule. If anything other than food, drink, and ornament have been brought with Ma'aser Sheni money, its value must be consumed. Ma'aser Sheni serves for eating, drinking, and anointing. For eating what is usually eaten, for anointing that which is usual to anoint. One may not use anointing wine or vinegar, but one may anoint with oil. One may not spice with Ma'aser Sheni oil, nor one may buy spiced oil with Ma'aser Sheni money. However, one may spice wine, and if honey or spice fell into it and increased its value, the increased value is according to the proportion. If fish was cooked with Ma'aser Sheni leek and it increased in value, the increased value is according to the proportion. If Ma'aser Sheni dough is baked and increased in value, the increased value is attributed to Ma'aser Sheni. And this is the general principle. When the increase is recognizable, the increase is according to the proportion. But when the increase is not recognizable, the increase belongs to Ma'aser Sheni.
Okay, Nedarim.
Okay, we have Nedarim and we have Gimel Aleph. Everyone becomes tummy from the Nedarim except for Gentiles and a resident alien. Everyone is qualified to examine the Nedarim, but declaring Tumah and Tahara is in the hands of the Kohen. They say to him, "Say Tameh," and he says Tameh. Say Tahor, he says Tahor. Two Nedarim are not examined simultaneously, whether they are on one person or on two people. Rather than the Kohen examines one nega and declares it confined and confirmed or tahor, and then examines the second. We do not confine someone confined, nor do we confirm someone confirmed. We do not confine someone confirmed, nor do we confirm someone confined. However, initially or at the end of the week, when the Kohen confines the first nega, he may confine the second nega when he confirms the first nega. He may confirm the second when he confines the first, and he may declare the second tahor, or when he confirms the first nega, he may declare the second tahor. We delay examining a nega on a bridegroom until after the 7 days of rejoicing, whether the nega appears on his body, his house, or his clothing. Similarly, we delay examining a nega on a festival until after all the days of the festival.
One more.
A nega on the skin is confined tameh for as long as 2 weeks, and with 3 symptoms, it is confirmed tameh: white hair, living skin, or expansion. With white hair or living skin initially at the end of the first week and at the end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor. With expansion either at the end of the first week or at the end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor, it is confined tameh for 2 weeks, which equals 13 days.
Right.
Okay.
13 days because the 7th day of the first week is also the first day of the second week.
Okay, Abos. Okay, Beis Hey. He used to say, a boor cannot be fearful of sin, and an unlearned person cannot be scrupulous pious, and a bashful person cannot learn, and a short-tempered person cannot teach. Nor can everyone who is excessively occupied in business become a scholar, and in a place where there are no leaders, strive to be a leader. He also saw a skull floating on the water, and he said to it, because you cause the heads of others to float, others cause your head to float. And eventually those who cause you to float will be caused to float themselves. He used to say that more flesh, the more worms, the more possessions, the more worry, the more wives, the more witchcraft, the more maidservants, the more lewdness, the more manservants, the more thievery. However, the more Torah, the more life, the more students, the more wisdom, The more counsel, the more understanding, and the more charity, the more peace. One who has gained from a good reputation has gained it for his own benefit, and one who has gained himself Torah knowledge has gained himself the life of the world to come.
Right.
From Jochanan ben Zakkai, that was
We're
it.
done. That's 3.
Okay. All right, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a lovely
I'll go back
day.
to-
Good week.
Have a great day. I will see you, Mr. Shem, tomorrow. Okay, good. Be well. Thank you.